Welcome, everybody, to the AI Impact Podcast. This is episode 3, and I'm super excited to be here with Bridget Brooks, your friendly neighborhood ads boss. So I'm super excited to hear what she's all about. I'm excited to give her an AI strategy. This is the 3rd episode of this podcast, and I think things are going amazing. So I don't want to take up too much of the bandwidth here. Bridget, hi, how are you? Tell me about yourself. Let's get going.
Hello. Thanks so much, first off, for having me on here. I am Bridget Brooks, your friendly ads boss. I am a paid ad specialist. So I have been in the advertising arena just over 20 years. I started back when the yellow pages were your main form of advertising. And as the industry grew and changed, I got to grow with it. And I actually worked for Facebook as an ad creation specialist. I worked for Groupon as a global merchant advertiser. And in 2019, I went out on my own and started Veltonco, my digital ad agency. So we are a full service ad agency, but we focus strictly on paid ads. So we run Facebook ads, Meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads, LinkedIn ads, really cover the scope. The main people that we run ads for are high ticket. So real estate agents, high ticket coaches, really high ticket holistic coaches is really the main focus right now.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. That gives me a pretty good idea of what you guys are doing. And I think it's interesting that the high ticket coaching niche, right? That's what I see a lot of, high ticket coaches, but whenever I see them, I question, okay, how good are they actually doing? Are they themselves making the amount of income that they're charging people for their high ticket services? I guess my follow-up question is, how is that going for your clients?
So real estate is really difficult right now. Just all around, our Google ads aren't performing what they did last quarter, let alone last year. Where we're really seeing the numbers and we're really moving the dial is with our holistic coaches, particularly on the Meta ads platform, using a lot of messenger ad and full ad funnel techniques.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's good. Yeah. All right. Well, I always like to ask people, what softwares and services and systems and stuff do you currently have in place, for your business?
Yeah, so I think my go-to and what I run everything out of is Go High Level, right? So not only do I run everything for my business out of there, I convert a lot of my clients into that just so they have a functioning active CRM. I really think that is the key to success, even with paid ads. You have to have that automation to win, right? You have to be the first in line and the first one to raise your hand and say, I can do it, to win. So that's such an important integrational part of my business is Go High Level with automation. And then from a creative standpoint, we lean heavily into ChatGPT, we lean heavily into Gemini. And lately we've been exploring more of the visual platforms. So I think one I just looked at, I think it's Pixel.io, I believe, is one that we use. So that's one that we're just starting to lean into for content creation for our clients.
Gotcha. Okay. You mentioned ChatGPT there and a couple other LLMs. How are you using ChatGPT and these other AI platforms?
Really for brand voice, right? I'm not the expert in any of these industries that I work with my clients. I'm not a licensed real estate agent. I'm not a holistic practitioner. So that's where I'm able to go and drop in their website and their and maybe any other workshops into ChatGPT or Gemini, and then be able to create ads off of whatever we're positioning them for at that time with their brand voice that's conducive. It was one of the areas where I really lacked, right? I never felt like I was a strong enough writer to really excel in the ads world because, yes, I have a bachelor's degree, but I can't spell to save my life. I will spell important wrong, right? So also, I don't feel like I have the writing skills to write the stories that you need to be able to tell when you're writing ads. So by leaning into those platforms in that position, it's really been able to help us step up our ad game for brand voice in particular.
Nice, nice. Okay, yeah. I mean, ChatGPT, especially the newest one that came out, GPT 4.0 for
Yeah,
copywriting
that's
and
what
ad
I'm on
copy.
all the time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I always tell people, look, if you're going to use AI right now, GPT 4.0 is going to be the best thing out there. I think Midjourney is probably better for image creation if you're going to create AI generated images. But in all other aspects, I don't know of any other LLMs that can measure up to GPT 4.0. There were LLMs that could, measure up and beat GPT-4, for the
Right.
original, but
Yes. And that's
GPT-4.0.
why I had the combination of Gemini and ChatGPT. But now, since the new release, I get better feedback from ChatGPT than Gemini.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Are you using any? I know you talked about automations. Are you just using the native automations that are in Go High Level?
At this point, yeah, I haven't really. I know there's so many different ways that you can utilize AI from an ad standpoint, from within the software, from additional software you add on, and even from follow up. I haven't dove into any of those. There's been a few that you've introduced me to. I haven't really taken any action on them. So that's why I was like, yeah, it's time for me to come on this call and get it laid out and be like, okay, here's where I need to take action to see that needle move.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. There's two questions I always like to ask people when I go and I work with them, and the first question is, what process, what workflow, what are you doing, so to speak, that's generating the most revenue for you? Can you dial that in? Do you know exactly what
Yeah,
that is
so
that's
right now,
generating?
what's generating the most revenue for me is in-person classes. I teach a lot of in-person classes for social media, and that's where if there's 22 people in the class, I've closed 8 of them. So that's where a lot of it is hitting. I have scaled back on my own personal ads, and I only run my ads personally when I'm holding a workshop. I do try to run a workshop at least once a month, but on months that I'm traveling for speaking engagements, then I don't hold a workshop.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense. You don't have the time there for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second question, thank you for sharing that, by the way. The second question is, what are you doing in your business, or what in your business, what process, what workflow, what duty, so to speak, takes the most of your time?
Probably client onboarding right now is the biggest time consumer. Because it's not just onboarding the client, but then getting into the back end of all their systems, making sure all their systems are where we need them to be in order to start running ads. So that I feel like slows down my entire team probably by 2 weeks.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And let's talk a little bit more about that then, since that is taking the most of your time and it's probably generating the least amount of revenue for you. Um, what does onboarding look like? Do you have to use their systems? Do you force them to use your systems? Do you integrate? Do you do a hybrid? What does that look like?
It's really unique per client, right? What systems do they already have in place? What systems are missing for us to have successful ads? And we really have to meet them wherever they're at. So it's very inconsistent and it varies very much by that end user, because there'll be people that will come to us that don't even have a landing page or social proof. So we've got to start from ground zero with them. And then we have people that, they've got a 92-page website. So they've already got their social proofing, they've got their website, and we just need to pick and pull apart to make the message stand out. So it's very inconsistent. It's very intrusive. We have to be on a call with them anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, finding out what their systems are, figuring out what's working in their systems, what aren't working for their systems, and then making sure me and all of my team have access to their backends.
Mm, mm. That gives me an idea for the first thing that I'd recommend to you then. Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas there. I'm gonna shelf it for a second because I got a couple more questions though. So so it sounds like onboarding is taking the most of your time. In a perfect world, right, with everything that you know about AI, if you were to snap your fingers and say, okay, I want AI to do this for me, I want to have this kind of automation, do you have an idea of what that looks like?
I mean, if in a perfect world, if all I had to do was sit and explain to my clients what was going on with their ads and what our next step should be, that would be my perfect world, right? But there's so much fulfillment. There's so much approval process, especially when you're in the ad sector, because we're not just making 25 custom pieces of content, then we're making 5 custom pieces of content on top of that we have to zero in to find out which is going to be the winner just for our top of funnel. So all of it, as horrible as that sounds, like my soul gets served in the knee to knee and really educating the clients of what ads are, what analytics are. The rest of it is just stuff that has to come with the territory because 1, I'm a business owner, and 2, the ad sector is where I decided to scale.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Unfortunately, there's work that has to get done no matter what.
Right.
Whether you want to do it or not. So what I'd recommend then immediately is to, well, first off, do you have SOPs for all this already or no?
I don't.
Okay. So like that would be the first thing, right? And you can use AI to help you with those SOPs. But really, what I would do if I was working with you is I would say, okay, we need to develop a GPT or an AI that can store the conversations that it has, so that you can unleash this for onboarding purposes. And what you would want to do is you would want to have it preloaded with all the information that you need to know from that client. And only you are going to know that. That's why I was asking if you had those SOPs. But all the information that you're going to need to know from that client. And then that client talks with that GPT, provides that information. And from there, if you wanted to take it a step further, you could either you analyze that and you have what you need to know, or the AI could summarize it all for you and then give you action items step by step for exactly what you need to do. That would be the first thing I would recommend.
Yeah, I'm game. Let's build it.
So, I like it, when people come on here, whether you work with me or not, like, I feel like that's something that you definitely need to implement. And, I'm obviously happy to help you build that. I know of a couple platforms we could build it on. And that information could go through another couple of AIs. So you could get, all of the information that you need. Or you could get your action items immediately instead of having to, like you said, waste that time talking to them for hours. You just tell them, hey, you're going to talk to this. You're going to give it all the information, all the questions that it's asking for. And then you just go from there. And now you're just talking to them saying, okay, we're going to implement this. We're going to implement this, and you can build kind of your workflow and your strategy around that instead of having to build it from the start.
Right. And I think it's going to be imperative for scaling, especially.
Yeah.
That is the biggest bottleneck in my business right now is the 2-week onboarding process. So if I could get that put onto someone else's, well, even put onto an AI's plate where it's just happening automatically with me in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way that I would do it is I would do it similar to what I did for what I've done for a couple of the softwares that I work with. I work with a software occasionally called Easy Messenger. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but what it does is it turns your personal Facebook profile into a DM appointment setter. So it's really cool. It's really powerful. But depending on the person who's using it, you need to program the AI behind it to be specific to you and your brand. So what I did, because, I was spending all this time working with people, trying to get more information about them and their business, and then, programming the AI for them manually, what I decided to do was I created a form that had all the information or had the questions. And when they answered those questions, I had all the information that I needed to be able to create the AI programming for that software. And then I took it a step further and I said, hey, take that information, give it to this AI that I created that has all the instructions for how it's going to interact with the information on that form. And it spit out the AI coding that I needed to just give to them. And then they can upload it to that software. And now, my work is done. So that would be, honestly, that's how I would do it with you, is we would come up and we would say, okay, these are all the questions that we need answered. This is all the information we need from the client. They would fill it all out on one form. And then all of that information would get sent to an AI, and then AI would push out the action items and the outline of the strategy of how you're going to work with that client. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Seems like a dream.
Seems like a
Honestly,
dream.
like the amount of fulfillment that it goes from here to this is kind of like, why haven't I done this sooner? Or why haven't I even explored this sooner?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So awesome. Well, there's that. The other thing that I wanted to ask you is, I know you talked about, you have speaking engagements and you get a lot of your business from speaking and the stuff that you're doing. Are you repurposing that content? Because I'm finding that helps me out a lot. And anytime a speaker comes on, I'm like, hey, are you using that content to get more clients or what?
I haven't repurposed any of it.
Ooh, okay. All right. So that
Yeah.
would be another part of our strategy
I
working
did
together.
just go through, I had a course in 2020, and that's really what pushed us past our six-figure mark. Our first six-figure mark was my Be Your Own Ad Boss course. And I did just go and start repurposing that. And I pushed it through Opus Pro because there's pieces of it that are still relevant, but this was back before Facebook or Meta went to the 6 objectives. It was when it was still 12 objectives, right? So it's not anything I could use, but I did push it through Opus Pro and start using that for a lot of reels. And we got some pretty decent exposure from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would definitely recommend. All of your, that's what we're going to do with this podcast. All of the content that gets created is going to get cut up, turn it into short form content for us to post onto our relevant, channels. So if you've got Opus Pro already, that was the one I was going to recommend is, start just systematically creating that content. And it's a game of consistency. It's not even really a game of quality. It's a game of consistency. So if you're consistently posting this stuff every single day for a month or 2 months or 3 months, all of a sudden you've got hundreds of short form content on there and it's all driving traffic to you and what you're doing. And if it's all optimized with the keywords and the descriptions and everything, the hashtags, then the right people are going to see it and the right people are going to reach out.
Love it.
One last thing that I'd recommend for you, and I need to ask a question. So you have a website, right? Do you get a lot of business from your website?
No, I don't. It's not. I mean, if you look at it, it's not really a website. It looks more like a Linktree page.
Okay.
And it's just a built out landing page in Go High Level.
Okay. Gotcha.
And organically, when we're not driving any traffic to it, we probably get about 60 hits a month on it. But when we are driving traffic, like when I'm running workshops, that pushes just over probably 500.
Okay. Gotcha. Then maybe for your clients, then this might be a cool tool for you to add to your kit bag and offer as a service. There is a website, and I wish I could be an affiliate of it because I'd make tons of money with how many times I've referred this thing, but they don't have an affiliate program. It's called boundlessleads.tech. And the cool thing about it is it takes the whole SEO process and it basically gives it all to AI. AI determines where it needs to put the backlinks. It determines, what kind of content that it should create on those other different channels to create those backlinks. And what I will say to everybody that's listening to this and watching this is if you're going to use boundlessleads.tech, do not get the lower end packages because the lower end packages across the board have been shown to just give you kind of like crap backlinks. They put the backlinks on kind of like toxic domains, so it actually hurts you. I don't even know why they offer it. But the higher level domains, right, the ones that cost like the higher level packages that cost like 150, 250, 300, those ones across the board, every single person that's using them has seen really, really good results, with the quality and the impact that it's made on their SEO. So if you were to offer premium,
Boundlessleads.tech.
Yep.
Awesome.
So
I wrote it down.
That's something, I don't know if you want to add it to the amount of services that you already offer to people, but if they have a website and they're driving traffic to it, this is something that can really help boost those SEO ratings without having to hire a whole SEO team or an SEO agency that's going to charge them thousands of dollars a month. It's something that you could offer. Maybe you charge them $1,000 a month, and then you arbitrage.
I actually have a real estate agent that this would be great for currently. So
gotcha.
That's actually
So there you have it. That is what I would recommend for your AI strategy. Do you have any questions for me? Anything you want to say?
No, I took some notes, so I'm definitely going to be working on my SOPs and leaning into AI to write those. I am definitely going to look at that easy appointment setter and the wellness leads tech for sure. And then that AI that you talked about us building together for condensing that process for the onboarding. Dude, I can't wait to discuss that with you because it just seems like a dream at this point. Like, yes. This isn't my only business. I own 3 businesses. I have a 2.5-year-old son. So my plate is full, right?
Yeah.
My plate is very full. And the more that I can get the automation done, but still be able to love up on my clients, the better.
Perfect. Well, I'm excited to work with you in the future. Bridget, where do people connect with you? I'm sure there's probably going to be some high ticket coaches and some people that might be interested in what you're doing. How do people connect with you?
Yeah, so on all of the socials, you can find me as your friendly ads boss. And then on Facebook, I'm Bridget Brooks.
Perfect. Awesome. And, we'll get those links for you as well. And we'll include them in the description below so you guys can check her out. But Bridget, hey, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
to
you. This was awesome.
this
I'm
podcast.
so excited to dive in more to just make my business so much easier with AI.
Awesome. Me too. I love having these types of conversations. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Catch us on the next one. This is episode 3 of the AI Impact Podcast. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.